This man has never knocked nobody out cold. He's a bully. He's slow. He has no skill, no footwork. He's awkward. And I have been giving him a name. Because he fights. When he's fighting, if you ever watch him in the ring, he drags like that after his opponent. and how's the mummy gonna catch me?
And all I had to do was to go out and beat for a man who had no skill, no class. Seriously, the man had no skill. I don't know why the world is so foolish to believe in him and think that I wasn't going to win.
Well, when you say you're ready to go to war right now...
I see that barrel in the street, I'll beat him before the fight.
You'd actually take him on before the fight?
Beat him like I'm his daddy.
Basketball players out there, football players, they want to beat so bad, they want to get everybody. I'll go to Mars, I don't care.
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, let's get ready to rumble!
All right, everyone. Welcome to Lights Out Debates, where we dare you to debate. And today, we have Tperfect here, who's supposed to be debating Herm on who had the bigger playoff meltdown. 2007 Dirk Nowitski, who Herm would be defending, or 2007 LeBron James. I guess we went live without Herm. I'm sure.
I mean, it wasn't the first time. But no, I gave out the wrong link or something. I don't know why that's the case. But yeah, weird. Maybe it's because I don't know. That's strange. But my bad. I'm glad they're here.
Yep, and we got more people coming in. King's Speech Row. But yeah, so how are you doing today, Travis? Why do you think you're going to win this debate?
I'm great, and it's good to be here. Welcome back to Dart, everyone. And I think I'm going to win this debate because I feel like I put together a relatively, nuanced debate, or reason why LeBron's failure was, overshadowed Dirk's, and I feel like I'm going to do a decent job in highlighting that today.
Welcome, Hollywood Herm. How are you, sir? And why do you think you're going to win today's debate?
Oh, man, salute to y'all, man. I feel like I'm going to win because, we can't deny with these facts that go be brought up in this debate. So I feel like I got a great case. I feel like that it just kind of common sense with the Dirk situation. But we going to see what facts Travis bring to the table. And Travis could make people feel the other way. So let's get it.
And welcome, King's Speech Row, who's going to be judging. How do you think you're going to be judging fairly today, King's Speech Row?
As I always do, like I'm very objective as I come in here, man. But again, you have to have a really balanced argument. You have to have a thorough argument, and I do fact check sometimes. So, come with the facts, or lose some cool points, in my opinion.
Awesome. So without further ado, we'll start getting this together. I'm going to, Travis, is that you?
Which one?
I'm trying to get Herm up there.
You're trying to get Herm up?
on up there. It keeps getting moved back. I don't know if you're
Oh
moving
no,
it
it's not
back.
me yet. I have no control over it from my phone here.
Okay, I don't know why it keeps going back. Anyway, yeah. So without further ado, I'll remove King Speech Row and myself, put us backstage, and who's going first? Actually, that's the question. Has that been decided between you two?
I always leave it up to the visitor. What would you like to do today, Herm?
Because I went first last time, I'll go second this time.
Sounds good.
All right, so we'll have Travis starting this off. I'm going to remove myself and King Speech Road. Travis, you'll have a 10-second primer, and then the debate will start.
3-minute rounds, correct?
3-minute rounds.
All right, sounds good. All right, guys. Again, welcome to the show. Should be another great debate here. Now, this is obviously between 2007 Dirk and 2007 LeBron James, or as it's titled. Now, in the comparison between these two players, the question of who had the biggest playoff no-show requires a nuanced answer. And again, this is not all time. This is just between these two guys. It's important to remember, okay? Just for a little bit of context, both had a very strong regular season. Statistically, with Dirk obviously taking home the MVP after leading the Mavericks to a league best 67 wins. Okay. LeBron finished with an overall MVP voting, finished fifth in overall MVP voting, but notably had, um, relative to Dirk, and this is just for a little bit of context, like I said, more points per game, assists, and steals. He arguably had the better stat line, okay? Now, obviously, Dirk was arguably more important to his team, though, because he did lead the league in box plus minus. He was third in PER. He was dominant in overall win shares. Win shares were 48, led the league in those as well, okay? So he was every bit deserving of that MVP, both statistically and team-wise, okay? But what happened is that when they got into their actual playoff series, okay, and then these are just some stats for their actual playoff series versus their opponents to actually set the stage for what we're going to talk about with these players going forward, and how eventually I'm going to tie them in together head to head, and then tied to how LeBron actually was the far and away the bigger playoff letdown, okay, relative to Dirk Nowitski, okay. So relative to the Spurs here, the Spurs were actually held far below their regular season production in both points per game and efficiency. Okay, from 98.5 points per game. Now, bear in mind this is the slowest era in NBA history as far as pace goes. Okay, and scoring. Okay, so they were held at 98.5 points per game, or they hit 98.5 points per game on 47% shooting and 38% from the field from 3-point range during the regular season. Okay, in the finals, the Cavs held them to 86.5 points per game on just 44% shooting. They also had a dip in their overall 3-point percentage as well. Okay. Now, also, it should be noted that both the Mavs and Cavs were top 5 defensive rating, top 5 in defensive rating that year. Okay. And like I said, Dirk was dominant. And then we're going to talk about how LeBron, his stats were actually far worse than Dirk's when it mattered in those playoff series. But I just wanted to set the stage in this round for how the Cavs were actually dominating a better opponent. And then we're going to pause there, and then we're going to focus on the individual team and names in round 2 and 3. 2, 1.
Well, Travis tried to line it up and basically talk about Dirk and LeBron, but let me stick to why LeBron James shouldn't be considered a bigger playoff meltdown. For one, that's a 50 and 32 team. Didn't have no expectations of even making it to the NBA Finals, despite them being the second seed. But that team was nowhere near predicted to make the NBA Finals. LeBron James is 22 years old. On top of that, he went against one of the best defenses of all time within the San Antonio Spurs. People consider the Spurs got one of the best defenses ever. They was second in the league in defense. In the playoffs, they was the number 1 team in defense. The Spurs honestly, was just a mismatch from the get go. They was heavily favored. Nobody gave the Cavs a chance to even win. So the fact that you saying a 22-year-old got a bigger meltdown than a guy that was the reigning MVP, a guy that had his team as the best record in the NBA, a guy that basically was one of the most dominant players of that year and got one of the most stacked teams at that as well. The Dallas Mavericks were one of the deeper teams in the NBA that year. But well, look, it went against a We Believe team. Don Nelson put up a game plan to let this is the crazy part about it. You got guys like Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, and even at times Baron Davis was basically being real physical with Dirk and getting them out of spots and making them uncomfortable. We've seen that. That's one of the biggest upsets in NBA history that the We Believe Warriors won in 6 games over the Dallas Mavericks. That was unbelievable. But the notion to try to say that a 22-year-old kid, a fourth-year player, really didn't understand the value of winning, really overachieved, really exceeded expectations because nobody really, you can't tell me that anybody had the Cavs come and make it into the NBA Finals when the season started. But they did due to the high play of this team, due to the elite defense that the Cavs displayed. But nobody expected it. So how can we say somebody underachieved? We didn't expect it. So honestly, the notion that this is even a conversation is just naive to me and just crazy to me. I get into the stats later on in this debate. I would get into the facts or the reasons why this shouldn't even be a conversation. And we will talk about the numbers, which they are not far off. So what's worse, me comparing the 22-year-old numbers to a reigning MVP in Dirk Nowitski, in which their numbers are not far off?
Now, again, I just wanted to touch upon that a little bit. We already talked about how arguably LeBron had the better individual statistical season than Dirk Nowitski as far as just a raw stat line. But, and to a degree, Herman's right. Nobody was actually expecting the Cavs to come out of the East, although they did it through a variety of ways. Some of their players, some of their competition was injured, et cetera, et cetera. But we're not going to go into that. We want to talk about what actually did happen, the play that was displayed, and regardless of what was expected, what happened, who the names were on the team, etc. We want to talk about how they were performing and how they suddenly didn't. Okay, namely LeBron. Let's talk about the individual performances. Okay, now, while I don't believe comparing the raw stat lines is very informative, it should be noted that LeBron did notably worse than Dirk. Okay, in terms of overall field goal percentage, free throw percentage, and had nearly double his turnovers, okay, in that series, their individual series, okay? But how did this impact their series, okay? Now, consider for a moment that the average margin of victory for the Spurs during their 4-game sweep of the Cavs was just 4 points, okay? Compare that to the nearly 15-point differential average in the Warriors' 4 victories over the Mavs. Why does that matter? Well, for starters, in the Mavs' 2 victories that series, Dirk played very well up to his MVP form, 27-8 on 47% shooting nearly. Okay, compare that. Now, again, during when he did that, okay, the Mavs won by an average of just 6 points those 2 games. Okay, now compare that to Dirk's just 16 points per game on 32% shooting in the 4 losses. Okay, this tells us that when Dirk played up to his MVP form, the Mavs were just barely winning these hard-fought games. But when his play was subpar, it wasn't even close. Okay, now juxtapose this to LeBron James. The opposite is true. Take game 3, for example, where LeBron checked in with 25 points, but did so on his sub 40% shooting, including 0 for 5 from 3 and a game high 5 turnovers. Okay. Same story in game 4, where he managed. Where he managed just 33% overall efficiency, including 28% from 3. Okay. Registering another game high in turnovers with 6. Okay. However, these games were decided by just 4 total points. Okay. Now, overall, that's the standard. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and pause there, and then we're going to tie that in to how that overall was the theme of that series. and also why Dirk, again, while not getting a total pass, we can clearly see why LeBron James was worse.
2, 1.
Why would a number one seed Dallas Mavericks need a top notch performance for Dirk to go against a 42-40 team in the AC we believe Warriors? Why would they need that? End of the day, their field goal percentages are not far off. Dirk Nowitski, MVP. This is numbers: 19.7, 11-point rebounds, 2.3 assists, field goal percentage 38.3, and 3-point percentage 21.1. These are LeBron's, the 22-year-old going against probably one of the best coaches in NBA history. A player in Tim Duncan that everybody always give credit to, put him in top 5 and top 10 conversations, and he going against an elite team with Parker and Ginobili on there. This is LeBron James numbers: 22.7 rebounds, 6.8 assists, 35.6% for the field. That's not a damn big difference between Dirk and LeBron. And then LeBron shot 20% for the three-point line. That's not a big difference. Now, free throws, that's a big disparity. And turnovers, we basically got 3 turnovers more. But at the end of the day, that's a guy that's handling the ball more. LeBron's trying to run the offense. LeBron is going against one of the best defenses ever, one of the best teams in the 2000s ever, going against one of the best coaching schemes ever. Don Nelson is an offensive mind, and he still found a way to neutralize Dirk Nowitski with 6'7" and 6'8" wings. And sometimes, hell, even their point guard was holding. So when you try to bring up the stats of how they fell below, they both was far below their averages. They both was not efficient. Hell, their damn percentages, they're not identical except for free throw percentage. So when you look at it, they was both below in true shooting in the series, both below 54%, which is the average. And then when you look at the all-time defense that LeBron James faced. Bruce Bowen, one of the best perimeter defenders in the 2000s. Then you got probably one of the best rim protectors in the damn decade in Tim Duncan there. And then you got Greg Popovich's defensive schemes, which is known as one of the best schemes in that era as well. And unlike Dirk, this man getting guarded by Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, Al Harrington. Al Harrington's not known for a defender. And Dirk Nowitski, you telling me, as much as we criticize LeBron James, you telling me that Dirk couldn't figure out double teams? That Dirk Nowitski had to shoot contested fadeaways as a 7-footer with nobody that's really physically that should have been able to deal with him? But I guess we want to crucify LeBron James so bad because we made this like, hell, I don't even like him. But there's no damn way that we could compare that Dirk Nowitski's performances of MVP is not worse than LeBron James.
Yeah. So where does this leave the two players? Okay. In round 2, we established that the losses in both series coincided with the Stars' poor play to a degree. Okay. But again, as we mentioned, look at the margins of victory and loss. Okay. Why were the Cavs in striking distance in every single game? Simply put, given the circumstances and opponent, LeBron's teammates simply afforded him more help, especially defensively. Okay, as we talked about before, the Cavs held the Spurs well below their regular season average in points per game, overall field goal percentage, 3-point percentage. In addition, LeBron's supporting cast came up big throughout the series. Take Game 3, for example, which was decided by only 3 points. And that's including LeBron going 0 for 6 in the fourth quarter, chipping in 0 points. Drew Gooden and Eldrinas Olgasas chipped in 2 huge double-doubles with 13 and 12 and 12 and 18, respectively, out-rebounding the Spurs' entire starting 5 by themselves. What about Game 1, where Drew Gooden, Anderson Varejao, and Daniel Gibson combined to chip in 40 points on nearly 65% shooting? Keep in mind keeping the score within single digits despite LeBron slogging through his worst shooting night of the series and one of the worst of his playoff career, going just 4 for 16 for 25% with another game high in 6 turnovers. Okay. In summation, now, and again, I mean, that's a fair thing to say that, like, obviously the Spurs may have been better, et cetera, defensively. That's 100% true. Okay. But again, it's about the numbers and it's about how are they performing. Okay. In summation, both men played far below their regular season standards. Okay. However, the difference is LeBron's teammates gave him a far better chance to win than did Dirk's. Dirk actually stepped up large for a couple of those games. And if not for game 6, okay, where he had an abysmal 8-point showing on like something like 15% shooting, Dirk's numbers would look far better. Okay, even better than they did versus LeBron's. Dirk actually stepped up for 2 of those games we just discussed. He played up to his MVP level again for at least 2 games, arguably 4 games. Okay, as we discussed the numbers there, go look at it. Game 6 really tarnishes that. Okay, however, LeBron did no such thing. Again, really didn't show up for any of these games, especially not in any way, shape, or form as far as efficiency goes. Okay, and like I said, Dirk actually rose to the occasion twice. However, due to LeBron's consistently poor play throughout, the Cavs were never able to break through in these very winnable games. I don't care if it's the Spurs. These games were close for those exact reasons we mentioned. He's just using the name Spurs. Okay. For those reasons and more, LeBron James wins this argument. And like I said, don't be fooled by the names. Don't be fooled. Go look at the series. I gave you the stats. I gave you the actual reasons why these took place. This was on LeBron. And like I said, Dirk played reasonably well. LeBron did not.
You want to talk about supporting Cavs? You must have forgotten that game 2 win that the Mavs had. That Jason Terry was the hot guy, led the team with 28 points, 12 for 19 for the field. Dirk had 23, but hell, Josh Howard added 22 points. Hell, Josh Howard was the best player in the whole series for the Dallas Masters. You want to talk about supporting Cavs? When the Warriors lost game 3, when the Warriors won game 3 and Dirk only had 14 points, Josh Howard had 29. Jerry Stackhouse had 24, but he had no supporting cast, right? And you want to speak upon game 5? Yeah, Dirk had 30, but Jason Terry had 27 and 9. Josh Howard had 23 and 7. David Harris had 15 and Stack had 12. So he had formidable help. But Dirk Nowitski was getting outplayed from start to finish. It wasn't even the best player on this team in the series. So when you bring up supporting cast, the Mavs had a number 6 defense in the NBA. The Mavs had a deep team. They had like 5 guys of double figures. So the fact that you want to say that LeBron James had the worst job when Dirk went against a 42-40 team, a team that had no business competing with them at all, and they sit around there and dropped off. Dirk was terrible for basically start to finish. You can only say a handful of games, 2 games that he was actually decent in. Game 1 when the Warriors won. Shit, they lost at home at that. Josh Howard was the leading scorer at that. Dirk, 14 points, 4 for 16 for the field. They still had 4 guys with double figures in that game, but he had no supporting cast. Then the game 2 win, that was the team effort, but we knew Jason Terry was the guy. Game 3, when they lost, Josh Howard and Stackhouse were carrying the load. All Dirk had to do was play his normal game. They would have won that game. They lost by 18 due to Dirk's 6 for 13 performance, him being inefficient. When the Warriors won game 4, Dirk was inefficient, 9 for 23, but he had help. Josh Howard 16 and 9, Jason Terry 17 and 7, Stackhouse had 14. So he had help. But Baron Davis outshined him. A point guard outshined Dirk Nowitski. A point guard was leading the way and leading the charge. So when you look at it, bro, Dirk win a 67-15 team, lose to a 42-40. And the best player on that 67-15 team is the MVP. Now that's a worse job. Now that's a choke job. Because there was a top 5 offense, top 6 defense all year round. But they came up against this team and they went away for all the principles that made them successful in the first place. And it wasn't the supporting cast. It was more Dirk Nowitski led his team down and not playing this game to propel them to exert their dominance.
All right. So we finished this fantastic debate. It's went back and forth, a little contentious, got a little heated. I felt a lot of responses with some strong tones afterwards. First, Travis, how do you think you did during this debate?
I was okay. Honestly, like these were things that were suggested by crowd, and like these were. This is the thing I don't actually think was like a totally bad choke job from LeBron, but it's fun to argue it. But I don't think that I did my best work here, and I think that I made some good points, but I think I've had better debates, honestly.
Herm, how do you think you did?
I think it was solid, but I think overall I was just playing the counter game and just in this debate right here, um but that's my thoughts. Yeah, I did. Travis didn't do his best, but it still was a solid debate though. Still was an interesting conversation.
All right, well, let's get down to the judging. King's Speech Row, if you could lead us off, how did you judge this fantastic debate?
So okay, I think Travis is underselling himself, but Travis knows he left some meat on the bone. And again, I think both people made. I think it's a tough thing to debate, and both people did a good job of setting it up. I mean, because you're talking about biggest show, right? Um, Travis's highlights is he put the fact that Dirk won the MVP. But he played. LeBron was fifth with a better arguable counting stats, right? So the drop off might be a little bit different. He did bring up the Spurs. I mean, the Cavs' defensive uh, performance against the Spurs. Um, 80. And he brought up how they dipped them under their regular season totals. So he said, basically showing that he started with the team support, and I like that. Okay, Herm brought up the overachievement of the Cavs, which is a good point. He brought up again the defense. The Spurs great defense as well. Like so, the Spurs played. It was defensive. The finals was a defensive match battle, regardless of the fact. He also brought up Don Nelson game planning to take Dirk out, a guy he used to coach. Right. One thing I didn't like about is he brought up the age 22 thing. You're in the NBA, you're a 4-year vet in the NBA. The 22 to 20 years, 22 excuse. I'm gonna give that round. I thought this was Travis's best round. I thought because he was setting it up for something to come. So I'm gonna give that round to Travis. Second round. He conceded the underdog status, Travis. Again, he reiterated the field goal, the free throws, and he double. He reiterated the fact that it was close games in the series. That all the games were close. He did bring up Dirk actually having two good games in the series, where he was 27-8 with 47% field goal percentage in those two wins. So he helped them actually win games rather than get swept. Um, he set up the coaching performances. Uh, Showed that LeBron shot sub 40 and 38% total shooting percentage in the closeout game. Again, everything below LeBron's MVP caliber average that he had in 2007. Uh, Herm brought up the 42-40 record again. Um, he used the fact that LeBron's facilitation to counter the double turnover argument. Good argument. He compared the numbers again. He brought in the defensive weapons used to neutralize LeBron. And yes, having all NBA defenders, but you didn't have much by way of Golden State. Strong argument. He used it, again, he finished it off strong. So he basically showed that, hey, the weaponry used to hurt LeBron. So I gave that round to Herm, too. So it's 1-1 at this point. Uh, uh, Round three, and this is the thing I always tell Travis, he did a great job of setting up the fact that Dirk, and I guess maybe he was hiding the fact because this is where Herm won the debate. Basically brought up the performances of the teammates. And yes, scoring wise, the facts are there that uh, Dirk had better, stronger performances. Stackhouse 20, 20, 20, 24 for Stackhouse, 22 for Josh Howard leading the team. And that's where I wanted Travis to basically reiterate. I mean, he did a good job of. One thing I like is that Travis did do a good job of reiterating that Big Z and Gooden gave them a good rebounding advantage. An argument I made myself recently, and that was one of the things that could have equalized and helped them at least extend the series. But again, he said nothing about the Mavs. He didn't give me any poor performances from the Mavs teammates. He didn't parcel off the loss on any of the teammates, and really was kind of, I guess maybe he was hiding the fact that they did get strong performances out of guys like Josh Howard, Jason Terry, and Stackhouse, and everybody else. So Herm got this debate. It was a close one though. Again, like I said, Travis left beat on the bone. He set it up good, but he just didn't. He didn't deliver, and he didn't like. He showed me nothing about the Mavs teammates, and that's where Herm came in here and cleaned it up.
All right. Well, that was a very thorough explanation of your judging. Thank you very much, King's Speech. For Travis, well, let me give my my how I judge this debate. So, just an overview of what I saw as key points. Travis talked about how LeBron James had a better statistical season than Dirk, and that he just had better stats during that time. One thing that you did was you had made an admission about Dirk being more important to his team. So I think that didn't help your argument. I think it was, I don't think it was a good thing for your argument. And then you're talking about LeBron holding the team back during the finals. I think those are really your key points during that round. Herm said that LeBron's team was 50-32. Dirk was the first seed. He was talking about LeBron's age, about expectations for him being relatively new to the league, and particularly being 22. Dirk was the reigning MVP, and that they got knocked off by the We Believe Warriors, the first seed versus an 8 seed. So for that, I really think that Travis was trying to set up what he was going to talk about before, but I don't think that Travis put enough up on the table in respect to exactly what he was going to talk about. I think he just put those things in there and really, I don't think met the intent of what he was trying to do. I gave that round to Herm. For round two, Travis talked about more of the raw stat line. He got into the specifics about the stats with how Dirk played when he lost to the Warriors, and that they had won more during that series versus it being a sweep. He claimed that LeBron played worse than Dirk in that series, and that LeBron had closer playoff games that he wasn't able to finish. Herm said Dirk shouldn't have lost to an AC team. Was kind of repeating himself from the first round. He said that LeBron had the ball more, so he had better stats in general, and LeBron played better competition when he lost due to the seeding. So I think his tone and conviction was better there, but I think Travis just brought more evidence there during that round, the way I remember it. So I gave Travis round two, but that one was close because I think Herm presented his argument a lot better. Travis said Cavs were in striking distance, kind of repeating the same thing in the round prior. Team defense helped them get there. LeBron didn't finish the deal, and then just more numbers associated with that. Herm went and started talking about the supporting cast in round three. Jason Terry and Josh Howard doing better statistically than Dirk. So, for me, these debates are hard because it's a double negative. You're judging who's worse, and then it's kind of a flipped debate where you're arguing about how your guy is worse, and then you say good things about the opponent. So it's kind of backwards for me personally. I'm not saying it's hard conceptually to understand. It's just hard for me to get a grip of what's actually being argued. But with that, I still gave that round to Herm. I say Herm wins 2-1. I think the second, third round were fairly close, though. The first round, I think Herm significantly won. With that said, both the judges here have awarded the debate to Herm. Congratulations, Herm. What do you have to say about this glorious win? Were you 2-0 on this platform now?
Yeah, I'm 2-0 on the platform now, man. Hopefully I can keep this streak going, man. It was a good solid debate. Me, honestly, I didn't even want Travis to do this due to LeBron 07 because I did feel like the Dirk was just far worse. I think in 07 with Dirk was just far worse because everybody didn't see that coming with the We Believe Warriors and how bad he performed, and his teammates did step up. Josh Howard was the best player on the Mavs in that series. So it's kind of like, all right, I understand that LeBron, if he just played his normal game, I understood that the Cavs probably could have made that a tougher series. Hell, they probably could have won seven. But everybody still believed that the Spurs would have still pulled out that series. So really, that series to me is like a learning experience for LeBron and the Cavs to build on. You know what I'm saying? So just to be honest, man, I wish Travis would have stuck with the first time. I think the '04 Kobe and Pistons Travis, I thought that would have been a tougher debate, and I,
Yeah,
I probably
probably.
would I probably would have had to come with some shit with that one.
Travis, what do you got to say about the results?
I'm not surprised, honestly. Like I said, I mean, looking back on it, my fault was that I had kind of forgotten a little bit about. I knew about the upset, blah blah blah, and I knew Dirk was, but I had kind of forgotten like the subtext to that series a little bit. Where, yeah, no, Dirk had some terrible performances, and it doesn't help that yes, they were heavily favored, et cetera, and the overall stats, like Herm pointed out, between them weren't that different. It would have been one thing if Dirk played very well and they lost, right? That would have been way easier. But he was very bad in many of those games. And so that gave Herm a lot of ammunition and also the context with it, them being the better team on paper. And like he pointed out, like Ro pointed out, I was kind of just trying to hide the fact that Dirk was getting great help, great supporting cast help. And I was kind of hoping Herm wouldn't deep dive too far into that and was maybe just going to stick to some of the stats, about Dirk and stuff, but he did. And, I shouldn't have been surprised because Herm comes, does his homework and, comes ready every time. So I'm super not surprised. I could have definitely done, there are a lot of things that I could have probably attacked and done better on. But it's the beauty of this series. It's a great series. It's a very interesting series to debate. Um, and that brings me to one-on-one with this series. And so, great job out of Herm. Herm brings it. I
Appreciate
love debating Herm because you're going to get a challenge. It's not going to be a walk in the park ever. And yeah, I definitely look forward to that again. But good job, Herm. Great job out of you.
I appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it, man. It's always great debating you, bro.
Yeah, this one is kind of weird for me. But again, I kind of briefly mentioned it. I think getting pigeonholed into a series kind of, and this is where it's hard to judge for me in some respects because I think it just lends to people having to repeat their main points. And I think you guys pretty much repeated your main points every round. And it's kind of like, and it's not that it's a problem. I think it's just hard to really get down into that nitty gritty because there's such a small sample size. And just to reiterate, I think Herm, I think your presentation was a lot more convincing and convictive than Travis. I think that really gave you a big edge for some of the things, let alone just the your claims in respect to the expectations. But I just have to say, for me, it's hard to really get a grip on this series. It's hard for me to keep up because it's kind of bipolar. It's just like I don't know. It's hard for me to get a grip on. I'm going to attempt to debate this potentially tomorrow against CW in this style. I just got to say, like it's counterintuitive to me. That's all I got to say. I'm
Hey,
just trying to get a grip of the situation.
hey, I got a quick question for you, Dart. Have you been catching me and like Travis did one Sunday show when we were talking about help, and then I did a couple of shows where we were talking about help. Hey, what is help? And we tried to kind of do I started trying to do a thing where I look at playoff series and I just bring up numbers, no names, and I try to get the audience to guess, the audience and panel members to guess based on the numbers in a series. What was the series? Who won? And then what basically really, because the point is when you take away the names and you put up performances, then like it'll show perspective. You understand what I'm saying? You just show the raw numbers versus and so I think there was a lot in here, right? And I think again Travis didn't do as bad as he said because I thought he had a really good point with the Big Z and Drew Gooden, like out rebounding the entire Spurs starting five. Because that throws away the LeBron had no help narrative. Like I said, where he lost it and Herm won it is when Herm brought up the Dallas Mavericks performance. He just went right at it. Hey,
Herm, you weren't
Dirk
supposed to do
James,
that.
huh?
Herm
We
wasn't
weren't
supposed to
supposed
do that.
No, actually, that tells the story. See,
Yeah.
again, I'm always going to look at the team perspective, and yeah, you wouldn't do it. I mean, really, you wouldn't do it if you're trying to play that game that I was talking about, just guess the
Mm-hmm.
God. But when you're bringing up, hey, you know what, Dirk underperformed his, then he got good comparable help. But like I
Mm-hmm.
said, you did a good job of setting up. Hey, Big Z and Gooden, they were controlling the boards against Duncan and his front court. So again, when you look at playoff series, there's always factors: backcourt, front court, defense, offense, and it's a chess game in there. You were doing a good job to set up that chess game, but you didn't. Again, certain things you kind of left out, and Herm was able to just really clean up on it.
One thing that I'll say very quickly, and this is kind of to go off what Dart said. I get where you're coming from, Dart. It's that's why I think we're doing when we have like a bunch of series, like we're gonna do, like, obviously people debate what they want, but this is the one series we're doing, and the other one is we're doing like maybe I want to start off where who had the best playoff performances. I just think this one is a little bit more nuanced because a lot of other times you can say, oh, hey, this guy outperformed who statistically. But with this one, you kind of have to get into the weeds. You have to kind of say, okay, be a little bit more nuanced and say, you can't just use numbers. You have to use context. You have to use things like individual performances on like the roster. You have to give context. Like there's a lot that goes into it. Like Herm brought up, who was favored, who, what was the competition like, who was on the other side. It's not just about maybe stats and things like we would see maybe on a who had the better performance, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not saying that one can't be nuanced as well, but I like this. I like debating. Maybe who was worse, just because you really do have to prove it. Or at least prove it
Yeah,
to the other people. You can't just say this and one thing. You have to bring up multiple things. You have to have a layered argument. And so I think I couldn't disagree with you more. Like it's actually, I think, one of the better things you could debate. But I mean, that's why we're gonna have a lot more series so we can get everyone involved.
and honestly too, I think it was good too because I think people do forget how talented the Mavericks was in the mid 2000s. I think people forget about a player like a Josh Howard. Josh Howard was dynamic and he was on his way. You know what I'm saying? Like Josh Allen really could ball. We know some off the court things end up derailing his career and injuries end up derailing his career. But at that time, Dallas had a great future and people had high expectations for that team. And when they first got, this is around the time they first really got Jason Terry too. Like Jason Terry was still dynamic, still was a looser scorer, still could put the ball in the hole. So Dallas, and then Stackhouse was still balling too. So it wasn't like Dallas didn't have a team. So
Mhm.
it reminds people, especially the Josh Howard thing. So the people that have tuned in, I hope they got a revisionist history of how good Josh Howard was and how good that Mavs team really truly
Dude,
was.
I was looking at the stats for the teams. I was like, damn, like those guys were going to. I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, he had a great supporting cast. I mean, they were, and it really just, dude, I was like, man, he had that such a terrible game six. Like it
yeah,
was,
yeah.
otherwise his stat line would have been, pretty beefy. But yeah, it was bad. But great job highlighting that, man. That you brought everything you needed to succeed for sure.
I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it.
I
Yeah.
think I think Roe asked me a question. I'm not sure. It ended with a statement at the when he was finished. But if you asked, did I see it? I did see some of it.
Okay.
Um, I watched the debate with CW versus Casual with
Kareem
Kareem
versus
versus
LeBron.
LeBron.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like the blind facing things. I think that's it goes to the stats lie. You can make stats lie, so you can just spin a narrative by just showing.
You can.
So I'm not particularly a huge fan of that stuff. I know Goat James Kingdom would do that stuff. Just I don't think stats really matter. I don't think that it really matters. I think it's something you can make an argument for, but it depends on what your priorities are. If you want to say who had better stats in this series, then sure. But I don't think stats are the end all be all. You know, who won that
Yeah, they
series?
never are. They never are. They could lie. They could
No,
tell.
exactly. That's why you can't
Yeah.
just use stats. You have to. That's why Herm would have got. I mean, we all would have blind because we didn't just stop at stats. We stopped. We talked about team. We talked about context, who they were facing, what the expectations were. It's a very layered argument. So no one's just using stats because that's a false equivalency. But yeah, you have to get really layered in order to win these debates because there's a lot to it when you're talking about worse because you know there's a by definition that's like context, right? Like demands it. And we could have said, well, Michael Jordan's '92 series against the Heat was the best series ever, but what? That was an expansion team, and it was 3 games, right?
Yeah.
So like you can't. There's a lot that goes into it, but again, that's why people don't want to debate that. That's why we're going to have a lot of other stuff to take on, and I think it's going to be fun. But this is my wheelhouse. I love these debates because you have to kind of really do this research, and then you just run into someone like Herm sometimes, who's more ready than you.
You know,
So
I'll kind of, because I got a couple of long-winded points. I think the point I really want to make is basketball is never a one-on-one game, 2-on-2 game, not even a 3-on-3 game. It's a 5-on-5 game, and everybody, like Rex will say, everybody had help. You got 4 teammates, you got help. You got 4 teammates, they qualified for NBA contracts, you got help. How do you use it? How do you play the chess match? That's what we got to really kind of talk about. And so if you want to look at, because look, a star player can have 15 and the other star player can have 40. That's why I wanted to play that. That's why I like playing that game. Star player with 15 could win the series based on how the context. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a one-on-one game. Remember that. It's 5-on-5.
yeah.
5 guys on the court at all times.
Did you say, Ro, that Herm's going to be debating John in your show?
Yes, they're going to do a concept debate. Right? It's stats, whether stats are most important or intent versus intangibles. And yeah, I mean, I'm not, honestly, like I came in here not even realizing who was debating what. I just knew that, when you told me this. Yeah,
When
I
is
didn't know
that
who had.
happening?
No, it's
That's
happening.
gonna happen Thursday on 10 Toes Down, my program, 9:00 Eastern.
Got it. Okay.
I'll be starting early to
Well,
accommodate the
good luck,
debate.
Herm.
And
Rooting for
Man,
you.
yeah,
I think it's gonna be. To me, honestly, I think it's gonna be simple though because when that brother told me that the tangibles don't matter in basketball, I was like, yeah, I
buddy,
got you. I
buddy.
got you.
And then last night I tried to use some stats points. Oh, don't talk stats. I got the film here. Okay, so you
So they
do
don't
think
matter?
intangibles matter,
Terrible
but
take.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
though.
look, hey, Jason Terry
Then
was
I
an elite
schooled.
creator.
And then I schooled him. Then I schooled him last night a little bit for the little time I was on there. I schooled him. He was saying you can't post up in the zone defense.
Oh, Jesus,
I gave him
bruh,
an example. I said all you gotta do is
right
look at
there.
all you gotta do is look at the 2005 series between the Spurs and the Suns. The Suns ran zone on the Spurs the whole time because they was that afraid of Tim Duncan. And
I,
Tim Duncan still was getting into his positions on the low block. It still was getting easy
thank
looks
you.
against the
Dude,
zone. So
And I took
there's
it
so
to
many.
college. I took it. Hold on. I took it to college. I said Syracuse under Jim Boeheim plays a 2-3 100% of the time. You mean tell me no one has ever posted up on a Syracuse offense?
Michael Ewing
Of course
still
you
was
can post
posting
up
up
on
at
his own.
Georgetown. He still was posting up at Georgetown
Thank you.
against the zone.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
like no people
Zone
don't
was
realize
still
that
posting.
no zone is absolute all the time, right? That's dumb. People
Thank
just
you.
say zone because they think that it does something to Michael Jordan, right?
Yep.
And that's all they use it for, but they don't know what a zone is or how it's
Yep.
used. Like people post up on there all the time because there's too much space, right? Regardless of what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And the good
Just,
players will
just the
always get to
only
their spots.
just the only thing you do in the zone, you just got to react faster now. So when I
Yeah.
catch the ball on the post, either I got to go and make my move to score or make my move to pass. So
Bingo.
I
Yeah.
can't
Bingo.
I can't back down all day. I got to make my move and go.
Bingo.
So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's just
he
all
killed
good.
me when he told me he was a post guru, and I said, "Oh, who did you model your post game after?" Oh, Tim Duncan.
Richie
Oh, really?
Wallace.
So you did? Yeah, me, Rasheed Wallace, me, Keem Olajuwon, me, Kevin McHale, and Patrick Ewing. Those are the guys who I learned how to establish your position. You know, go over your shoulder. You know, see one thing: post is you don't have to always score on the post.
I
Sometimes
mean,
drawing a
Shaq.
double team does your job. Yeah.
As much as everybody say they saw how dominant Shaq was killing zones in his prime.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
They
Thank you.
Shaq was killing zones.
Yeah.
So,
Shaq was an apt
yeah.
passer. Like, look at that 2001 Lakers run. Like, they were even through 04, like they were just inside out. Shaq was willing, like you had snipers out there too. Like you couldn't just, but even then, it's like, two guys doesn't matter for Shaq. But with that being said, we'll wrap this up. Not got too long winded, but again, to reiterate,
No.
fantastic job at Herm.
Appreciate you.
Herm's running this channel right now. He's at 2-0, so we gotta we gotta regroup and come back next time. Obviously, Herm, I will get in contact with you to in the weeks ahead to schedule something else. And good luck with your upcoming clash on Thursday. It is so yeah. And then Ro, thanks for judging usual, and obviously we'll get you in the schedule here as well. Dart's still here.
Nah, he left.
He took up. Okay. Well, hey guys, thanks for showing up. That was awesome. And again, this has been another Lights Out Sports Debate and debate series. Look out tomorrow. We're going to have either a debate from Dart versus CW. Okay, it should be a good one there, or instead of we're going to show, we'll let everyone know. And otherwise, guys, have an amazing rest of your Saturday, and
You
we'll catch you
too,
next
bro.
time.
You too.